Welcome back to Everyday Faith Live. Our movie pick this week is Bitter Harvest, based on one of the most overlooked tragedies of the 20th century. It's about two young lovers caught in the ravages of Joseph Stalin's genocidal policies against the Ukraine in the 1930s. For more information, I'm going to hand it over to Sister.
Well, thanks, Monsignor. Set in the 1930s Ukraine, as Stalin advances the ambitions of communists in the Kremlin, young artist Yuri battles to save his lover Natalka from the Holodomor, the death by starvation program that ultimately killed millions of Ukrainians.
Joining us via Skype is Ihnatowycz, the producer of Bitter Harvest. Thanks for being with us today, Ian.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So why was it important to make this film? I mean, there's a global importance to this, I think, on a number of levels, huh?
Well, when I heard about the opportunity to make it, I thought it was really important because outside of a few Ukrainian diaspora people and academics, virtually no one in the West has ever heard about this famine genocide orchestrated by Stalin. And I think that it's extremely important that the world knows, especially in a day and age when Stalin is starting to be copied and idolized by in certain parts of the world. It's a very dangerous precedent.
That's an interesting point that you make there, and I was thinking too of some of the modern situations that we're seeing with Russia, and not only Russia but other parts of the world. We were just talking about Africa, so perhaps you could comment on some of that.
Well, you know, whenever you have a dictatorship and a group that is in power that wants to take control at the point of a gun, it's always dangerous because innocent people die. They usually try to eliminate the leadership of the country, and then what Stalin did in Ukraine was to close down all the churches. He arrested or killed over 300 bishops, 1,600 priests, and that way eliminated an important leadership of the country who relied on the priests and bishops for their leadership. And then what other countries often also do is they try to control their populations through starvation, and that's what Stalin did. He took away all their grain, and when the people resisted, then he took away all their food, closed all the borders, it forbid people to get in or out, to transfer food in or out, and it was effectively a death sentence. And that way he gained control of the country. What
about your personal connection to the Ukraine? Is there one that you have?
My parents came from Ukraine.
Wow.
And parents and grandparents, and my forefathers did suffer under the control of the communist state. You know, anywhere you have a communist regime, it always seems to be at the point of a gun, and innocent people suffered. Many of my ancestors were either imprisoned or executed. Some of them were buried in mass graves, and some spent as much as 15 years in a Siberian prison camp for the fact that they were opposed to the regime in power.
Wow. It's fascinating, and I think it's so timely that you produced this film at this moment to help us all to raise our consciousness of how dire situations can become.
Yes, and I'm very, very happy that the actors like Samantha Barks and Max Irons did such a wonderful job in portraying not just in a very difficult situation that all the people found themselves in at the time, but they always portrayed that very sensitive, loving character and strength of character and desire to survive and the determination to succeed. We wanted to show very poignant moments where no matter how bad the situation is, you cannot kill the human capacity for love and the ability to survive, and to show courage in those dire situations, so that leaving the viewer with a sense of hope for the future.
I think you've achieved that. I look forward to seeing the entire film. The website is bitterharvestfilm.com to find out more information where you can see it. Ian, I want to thank you for joining us today, and keep us informed of what you're doing. You're doing great work.
Thank you so much.
God bless. Thanks for joining us.